Hello friends, comment ça va? Welcome to Cajun Charles, your place for Cajun cooking and a little storytelling. Hello family and friends, all Cajuns out there and all my honorary Cajuns out there. We're going to cook a little shrimp courtbouillon today. It is Friday in Lent, and so as Cajuns we eat fish because we're not allowed to eat meat. So here we are. So we've got all our ingredients today. I got my pot, my Cajun Classic purple and gold LSU Tiger pot. Then I got my ingredients over here. I got me some couple of large onions, my seasoning, some butter, some tomato sauce, a little bit of water, and of course my Bud Light to help me cook. So we're going to get started here. Get a little heat going under this. Going to use about, I'm doing a double batch. This is a shrimp courtbouillon recipe, a fish courtbouillon. You can use shrimp, you can use catfish. That my mom told me years ago. Thank you, Mary Verrett. So we're going to let that heat up, and while that's heating up, I'm going to tell you just a little bit of Louisiana history. Like I've said before, you know, the Indians were in Louisiana along the Gulf of Mexico a long time before the Cajuns came from Nova Scotia. And just a little thing, there's a couple of words that in Louisiana that most people are familiar with, that everyone probably assumes that they're Cajun words, Louisiana words, but they're not. For example, a chafalaya. Chafalaya came from the Choctaw Indians. It means long river. A bayou, also Choctaw, a river or a creek. And there was Calcasieu. I was born in Calcasieu, raised in Calcasieu Parish. Actually, I was born in Evangeline Parish, but I was raised in Calcasieu Parish. And the Attakapaw Indians came up with Calcasieu, and it stands for crying eagle. So there you have it. Chafalaya, bayou, and Calcasieu are all Indian words that we currently use in Louisiana. You can use olive oil, cooking oil, butter. I'm going to use a little butter. This is a fairly simple recipe. There are a lot of other versions of courtbouillon, which is spelled Courtbouillon. We always just said shrimp courtbouillon. It's kind of pronounced like Courtbouillon. So we got a little butter going here, and then for about every pound of shrimp that you're going to cook, you put in a large onion. And I'm going to be cooking a little over 2 pounds of shrimp, so I'm going to have 2 large onions get added to this. Let that saute for a while. And of course, got to add a little seasoning. I'll put a little bit of Cajun Charles' seasoning. This is a combination of some Cajun seasoning and then with a little bit of extra red pepper, black pepper, and white pepper, and a little bit of onion powder and a little bit of garlic powder in it. Now see, our onions are starting to change color a little bit. You can see all the seasoning in there. It's just about ready to, like I said, this recipe doesn't take very long. While these are going a little bit, my first introduction to beer as I was a little kid, I can remember it like yesterday, was at my mom's brother's house, Robert Vidrine. We called him Nonk Robert, Nonk meaning uncle in Cajun, and his wife, Brenda. And we call her Tunt Brenda because she was our aunt, and in Cajun for aunt is Tunt. So it was Nonk Robert and Tunt Brenda, and they had 7 kids at Tunt Brenda's and Nonk Robert's house. We had Angela and Melanie and Joe and Gary and Paula and Teresa and Elizabeth. And when the 5 of us and the 7 of them, there was 12 of us running around, we passed a good time. Well, we'll be barbecuing outside. My daddy, Burke, and Uncle Robert would be sitting by the barbecue pit, and we were out running around. And we'd just pass by. Just stop there for a second, get a sip from their beer, and then go on running. Sorry, Mom. I know you didn't know that, but we did. Okay. This is about how I like it. Now I'm going to take, for every pound of shrimp, I use 8 ounces of tomato sauce. So I'm doing 2 pounds. So I got 16 ounces, or actually it's 15 ounces of tomato sauce. We're going to let that cook for a few minutes. And as you can see, the onions is the only things we're adding. This is a dish that doesn't involve the Holy Trinity. There's no celery, and there's no bell pepper in this dish. Now, there is at other times I will, but this is the original recipe that I called my mom and asked how to make a fish courtbouillon, whether it's with shrimp or with catfish. She didn't call for green peppers. She didn't call for celery. Only onions. So that's what we're doing today. I think we'll just call this Mary Eldean's Courtbouillon. And I'm going to let that cook for a little bit. Turn it down a little. You want to let this cook for 10 minutes or so. Now, one thing I didn't mention, and I didn't know about this for a long time, until one day I'm sitting at home talking with my dad, and my mom's making this at the stove, and I've got one eye watching my dad, and I got the other eye watching my mom, and she's going through all this, sauteing the onions, adding the tomato sauce, she's stirring it, cooking it. Then I see her go into the pantry and pull out the sugar canister. And she gets out a tablespoon and starts to put sugar in here. And I said, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? She goes, oh, I'm just cooking. I said, yeah, but what's the sugar for? Oh, you always got to put sugar in there when you got a tomato-type gravy. I said, since when? Well, all the time. It makes it taste a little better. Deals with that acid. I said, Mom, you never told me that before. And you know what? Me and my brothers and sisters, we always wondered why our dishes didn't taste the same as my mom's. Well, that was it. She never told us about the sugar. So now, we've cooked this for a little while. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of sugar to this. There you go, Mary Eldean. And once I was old enough to start drinking beer, I always liked lime in my beer. Once I was legal and started drinking beer, I'd pour it over ice because I always liked it cold. But if whenever I could, I'd squeeze a lime in it. And I started doing this probably in the 1980s, early 80s. I should have called Anheuser-Busch back then and told them they need to put a lime in their beer. But anyway, now I like my Bud Light lime. Okay, now we're going to add some water. And again, it's about a cup per pound of fish or shrimp. So I got 2 cups of water here that I'm going to add. Stir it a little. Add a little bit of seasoning. Put the cover on it and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Okay, while my sauce is cooking, I got me a little over 2 pounds of headless shrimp that I just have to peel. They've already been deveined. So all I gotta do is sit here and clean it up and then be able to add this to the pot later. All right, this has been cooking for a while. Now we're going to go ahead and add our shrimp. It's all been peeled and deveined and washed. I'm going to add just a little bit more water to this. Actually, what I'm going to do, I forgot what Mary Eldean had told me. I'm going to add about another cup of water, but before I do, I'm going to add me probably 2 tablespoons of flour to the water, whisk it, and then add it to this to kind of make my gravy a little bit thicker. All right. Let me cup of water here, a couple of tablespoons of flour. I used to just throw the flour in there, but of course it gets a little clumpy. So this makes it okay. Stir this around a little bit. Put the lid back on and let it cook for about 30 to 40 minutes. Just let it simmer. We'll check back later, see how it looks. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left on our Mary Eldean shrimp courtbouillon. As you can see here, it looks pretty good. One of the things we do at the end, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, so it's good that you hung around to see to the end of this. I'm going to add green onions. Good. We add that to it, let it simmer about another 5 more minutes, and then we'll be ready to serve. Come back and check on it. Okay, my friends, let's check on our Mary Eldean shrimp courtbouillon. And there you go. Look at that. All the green onions in there. Shrimp. That looks wonderful. Oh, ça c'est bon. So, okay, my friends, all of you that are subscribers right now, send me a little comment down there at the bottom so I know you're out there. Tell me what you think, how much you're enjoying these videos. I just want to know who's out there. Alrighty, put this over a little rice, a little potato salad on the side, and you got yourself a meal. Au revoir, bonsoir. Hello friends, if you would like to ride along with me in my P-Row and learn some more about my Cajun cooking and hear a few more of my Cajun stories, click the subscribe button below. And if you would like to know when I've docked my little P-Row and ready to cook and tell stories, hit the little bell. Merci beaucoup.